Hello, welcome back to Real Reds Talk. Football has returned. Premier League football, international football is done, is finished. But unfortunately, it's Manchester United. My name's Sam. I'm joined by Shreyas. We're here with the Southampton preview. Shreyas, the first question is, have you missed Premier League football? Is it nice not to be disappointed for United for a couple of weeks? Where you at? How you feel?
You just never know. It's a double-edged sword. You feel a bit excited that it's back, and um, you do think that finally things are going to be back. It's the international break, so you expect players to be fitter, players to be much more sharper. But every single time, then when we come up against the opponents, no matter who it is, we just end up putting up a very very poor display. So it genuinely is a double-edged sword, and one thing is, every single year we hear it that after the international break, our season is starting now. Our season is starting now. It just never starts for us. I'm still
And
waiting since last year when our season will start.
yeah, every time we seem to win a game as well, that's easy. All right, this is the turning point. This is the corner being like turned, but yeah, it's not gone well so far this season. But we'll get into that thing. Obviously, we're here to preview the early kickoff on Saturdays. United travel down to Southampton to take on the Saints. Shreyas, now we've
Yeah.
not been in good form as we've just touched on. Opening three games of the season, a win against Fulham, which was a last-minute winner, again, was an all right performance, but I wouldn't write home about it. I lost to Brighton, which was just a capitulation of defending at the end there, and then just getting absolutely battered by the Scousers. Is there a hangover feeling coming into this game, do you think? And can we expect something similar to what we saw against the Scousers, or do you expect to see a more refreshed United and more fresh squad? Because we saw a really good performance in Joshua Zirkzee for Netherlands. We saw Manuel Ugarte get 90 minutes and 80 minutes for Uruguay. So
Yeah.
there's some good performances in there. How do you see this going? Are we coming in same sort of thing we ended the international break with, or do you think there'll be a bit of rejuvenation?
To be very honest, I see players like Bruno, players like every single one performing so well for the national teams. But I
Yep.
just know that the moment they come in, it, considering the roles that these players have got in this team as well, I just don't think that they'll be as they might not look as refreshed, and it might not look as flashy as people might expect it to look. you know I think maybe we still get some results in, maybe we still get the job done in certain fixtures, but it's not going to be flashy, it's not going to be good to see in a lot of moments when it comes to United. And I think with Xerxes I'm a bit more happy, because I think people can actually see that what he can actually bring to this setup as well. And I just think that he's still just a bit rusty, but I think the international break must have genuinely helped him with that. And you can see, with the kind of areas that he gets into, with the way that he, drops deep and helps with the build up and the press of the ball, he can be a very key figure
Yep.
in this team. He might not be the one who gets like 30 to 30, 35 goals a season, but he can be someone who can get this team moving, and he can actually, be a catalyst in that attacking line, of which we do need as well. Apart from that, I expect us. Look, the game that we've got coming up is perhaps one of the easiest that we'll have
Yep.
throughout the course of the season, like the easiest opponent that you could have wished for. So I expect it to be a much better showing, and for people coming back in as well, like you mentioned, Ogata getting a full 90, maybe he gets like 30-35 minutes in that game. So wouldn't be as much of a pressure situation than getting 30-35 minutes against a team like a Liverpool. So I still expect it to be better in terms of how we've been playing, but I don't expect it to be a good watch.
Yeah, United has not been a good watch the last couple of games. Obviously, I wanted to throw another one in. Delict, I thought, did, considering we got battered by the Scousers, Delict did quite well, I think, against Liverpool. I think he was just let down by gaps in midfield and the fullbacks basically
I
sodding
think he
off.
was the one of the better centre
Yeah,
backs in that game.
but he obviously had a bit of a nightmare against Germany for the Netherlands. So it could work either way in it, because we always see Bruno go away to Portugal and look absolutely phenomenal. And then at United, it's like ups and
Yeah,
downs. Whereas Delict looked good for United and then went to Netherlands and had a terrible time. So it could work either way. But yeah, I've just touched on sort of tactical flaws there. We've been over it several times on this channel already about what is wrong with this Ten Hag system. if you're approaching this game, Shreyas, what's the 3 things you're going to address to make sure we don't see things happen like we did against Brighton or the way Fulham were able to get at us? Like, what 3 things are you looking to see Ten Hag change so we don't
I think
keep getting exposed?
I think the first thing would be increase the channels for when you're building out from the back, and when your team opposition is actually trying to take the ball off you. Increase channels to actually give and go and make those 1-2 passes, for whether it's Casemiro, whether it's Menu, whether it's even Lissandro. I would say create those channels for them to actually move the ball about. If they don't have those channels, it's going to be much easier and much more predictable for the other team to actually track our movements and track our plays. When you've got Mazraoui and Dallo pushing up, you need it to be in a way where at least they are in accessible regions, because if the opposition completely shuts off those channels, then those risky passes have got to be made, and you end up losing the ball in a very vulnerable position and end up conceding a goal. So I think that is one thing that needs to be looked into. Secondly, our decision making, and I would say our hesitation while moving the ball into the final third, that definitely needs to be worked as well, because I think if we are just like 2 or 3 seconds quicker, a chance can be created in a much better position. Xerxes in the Brighton game as well, and even in the Liverpool game, I would say certain areas he probably should have been played in, but he wasn't. We actually wait a bit more. We wait 2 to 3 seconds more, and then chance gets completely shut off, or we end up in an offside position. So that is another area that needs to be looked into. And thirdly, I would say we genuinely need to get some balance into this team, because right now we don't really have that balance in this team. And because we don't have that balance, I would say Menu is suffering because of it, Bruno is suffering because of it, Casemiro is suffering because of it, and I would say the attackers in a certain aspect as well, even they are suffering because of it, because there's genuinely no sort of link between the defense and I would say the attack, and even between the defense and midfield, the gap is so much that the opposition players can genuinely roam freely into our back line. They can occupy some positions, and then on the counter, they are practically one-on-one against the keeper. So I think these are 3 areas that genuinely need to be looked into. Otherwise, even Southampton can have a very, very good game against us.
Yeah, we'll touch on Southampton shortly, but the thing I wanted to pick up on there was the link between the defense and the attack is non-existent, and I think every single one of our players, bar the centre backs, want to go forward. Fullbacks are going forward, whether that's through instruction or whether that's a natural inclination. Casemiro seems to be pushing forward consistently and leaving a gap at the back. Kobbie Mainoo obviously is a more advanced midfielder. Bruno, they're all more advanced players. So you end up with like 6, 7 players all pushed up the pitch. And like you said, once you lose possession, that turnover happens. It's 4-3-on-2 against the 2 centre backs. Yeah. And you just continue, and it's just like, well, what are they supposed to do? If they mark 2 of them, they're still 2-3. There's one pass in, and then they're in on goal, and it's a chance. And a lot of the time, it's a goal. Do you think that's the reason Manuel Ugarte has been brought in? I don't expect to see him on Saturday, to be honest with you. But do you think that's the reason we're brought in? Because he's a purely defensive-minded player, and that gives a bit more security to the likes of De Ligt and Lissandro. They've got somebody in front of them then who can help out when there is a turnover and there is like a 3-on-3 or maybe a 2-on-3 or something.
I think to a certain extent he can help, but if you look into it and say that he 100% eliminates every single issue, he wouldn't.
No.
Even I would say Ugarte is much more agile, definitely. He's got more work rate and he's got, I would say, more mobility in his legs if you compare it to Casemiro. But if he gets pressed in a 3-in-1 when he's got the ball, even he will lose out on the ball. Same as Casemiro does. You need to have an option available to actually pass out the ball, which Casemiro hasn't had. Menu even hasn't had, even though I think Menu fights a lot for the ball. Even when he wins it back, he just genuinely doesn't really have anyone to actually pass the ball to. And both Casemiro and Menu are not players who, like, if they make 10 passes in a game, only 2 or 3 of them are backward passes. Apart from that, they both want to progress the ball further. With Ugarte as well, he likes to break the lines. He likes to play the ball upwards. So if you don't, provide them with options while you're moving the ball forward, it's going to create the same issue that what Casemiro has.
Yeah, absolutely. We touched on Southampton there. No win in the league yet. I think a single goal scored, second to the bottom. I think only Everton are below them. Is there anywhere in there that you think besides us being negligent, is there anyone there or any player or any sort of thing that worries you that could cause a potential upset?
I think they've got a striker called Brereton Diaz
Yes.
who played for Sheffield last season. I think he looks like a bright striker.
He's a shithouse
So
as well, isn't he? He likes to wind
yeah,
people up.
yeah. Once again, South American attacker, so
Yeah.
you expect him to have that fire in him, and I think he could cause certain troubles in that game. I think he could give, because I think Lissandro has had a slow start to the season,
Yep.
so that might be a tough encounter for him. So I think he's probably the only one who I would go in and say that can cause issues. But apart from it, I think we'll make them look like a very strong team.
Mhm.
We'll do everything possible in our arsenal to make sure that Southampton look like the better team in that game.
I mean, we do it with most teams. We made Newport make somewhat look a
Yeah,
decent team. They scored 2 against us, so there is that. The other thing I wanted to touch on was with Southampton, obviously being quite poor in the league so far. Obviously, it's early days. We saw a similar trajectory with Burnley last year. They tried to play this style that brought them up from the Championship, and it failed them, which is what it seems to be Southampton trying to do the same thing. And Burnley eventually changed it towards the end, but it seemed like it was a little too late. Do you think Southampton stick with this and they end up going down because of it, or do you see Russell Martin changing the way he plays?
I think he might be sacked. You never know. Just for them to actually survive in the competition. We see it a lot with these sort of teams as well, chopping and changing managers mid-season just to make sure that they don't get relegated. But I just don't see it happening for Southampton. I think they will definitely be one of the teams that go down because it. I just don't see it clicking for them in the
Yeah.
Premier League with the way they play. And we've seen it with Burnley last year. We've seen it with a couple other teams as well. I just think that with the kind of teams that they've got to compete against, I would say even in that lower half of the table, it's going to be very tough for them.
Yeah, they don't seem to have an X factor, do they, about them? There's nothing,
Yeah,
there's no player, it's not a manager or the style. There's nothing about them where you're like, okay, that might get them out of jail. With Ipswich, they've bought quite a lot of decent players. They've got a really good manager, I believe, in Kieran McKenna. So you think, okay, that might be enough to keep them up, and they might sort of play the way out of it. But yeah, with Southampton, it's tricky to see where the wins come from. But obviously, it's United, so there could be one on Saturday. Who knows? Before we get on to starting 11s and stuff, I'm just going to go into the comments. Lucky Singh, pretty certain Toby Collier starts alongside Ahmed Diallo and De Ligt. I don't see Collier starting, to be honest with you. I really don't, but stranger things have happened. Henry's in the chat. If we don't bat Southampton, then we're finished. Yeah, I agree. YYYJ. Interesting username. No Delict, no Xerxes, no Party. I think they're both going to probably start on Saturday, I believe.
yeah.
But that's my... Speaking of starting, though, Shreyas, let's get starting 11s. Do you want to talk us through yours, mate, and why you picked it?
Yeah, because Ten Hag never changes his 11, so I'm going to go with an unchanged 11. The same team that played against Liverpool, I think it will be the same setup. Because I think the only probably, if Mount was fit, I would have chucked him in. But apart from that, I don't see anyone coming in. I think it's going to be the same 11. Rashford is still going to start. You'll see Garnacho playing off from the right, Zoxy up top, Bruno, Casemiro, and Minu in that midfield. Mazraoui and Dalot as your fullbacks, De Ligt and Lissandro in that as that centre back partnership, and Onana and net.
Yeah.
But it's wait. Even the Southampton manager knows right now what our 11 will look like, which player is going to be coming in, and he will even know what time which player will be coming on.
Yeah.
Every single thing.
It's the style and the way games go are highly predictable, but at the same time, when stuff happens, you can't predict it, can you? Like, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, we're going to look absolutely chaotic. This is going to be the team. But beyond that, I don't know what's going to happen in this game because 1,000 things could happen. All I know is not going to be controlled or structured. But yeah, that is Shreyas' team. I've made one change just to be different because I feel like I need to justify a change just because I need to see something. I don't think Awate is going to start. I wish he would, but I don't see it. I really don't see it because the way Ten Hag's speaking, he's talking about it could be weeks and maybe months.
He said it'll take him months to actually catch up to speed and be this team. So
which says to me,
it's going to be Casemiro.
Yeah, which says to me he's not starting as much as I would like it. So I've got the same 10, apart from the right hand side. I thought Garnacho was not great against Liverpool, if I'm honest. I don't think he offered much. And I think when Ahmad came on, I think we looked a lot better. And I think his link up play with Xerxes was really, really good. So I think maybe he gets an opportunity here against Southampton to show
I
what he
hope
can do.
so.
That's
I
my hope.
really hope that
I'm
happens.
putting it out there into the
Yeah,
universe and hopes it happens. But
yeah.
in reality, if
I
I
hope Ten Hag drops Rashford.
yeah,
Like genuinely, it's
yeah,
time. It genuinely is. It's not
yeah,
happening right now.
yeah.
Put him on the bench. Maybe he starts getting his confidence back and get some minutes off the bench. But right now, it's just not clicking with Rashford at all.
No, it's just strange. It's really, really strange. But I'm putting out in the universe. So Ten Hag, if you're listening, please like change something because I'd love to see it. But yeah, if I think about it in my head and I take a really sort of deep thought about it, you're probably right. Your predicted 11 is probably going to be the one that we go with. Unfortunately, people in the chat, let me know who you would predict. Put your predicted 11s in there, or put even what the preferred 11. Put preferred 11 and like who would you like to see play? Like, would you like to see a Aguati in there? Would you like to see the likes of Rashford or Bruno dropped? Let us know in the chat. Shreyas, before I move on to like the next bit, there's rumours Shaw and Hoyland would be available after the international break. Do you see them appearing on the bench at all on Saturday?
I think Hoyland will be on the bench because I've actually seen a lot of his training videos. I've
Yeah,
seen a lot of pictures from him that he's working hard to actually get back up to speed and fitness. So I expect Hoyland to be on the bench, but sure, I'm not hopeful at all.
nope.
I think Ten Hag will and even Ineos are going to be very, very, very careful about
Mm-hmm.
reintegrating him back into this team because he's probably going to be the only fit natural left back that we'll have. And
Yep.
you cannot take chances with Luke Shaw. We I don't want it to be a situation where he comes back and then he's again gone for like 3 to 4 months.
Yep.
So I think they're going to be very, very precautious with Luke Shaw, and I just hope when he comes back, I hope that they don't rush him back in. Like
Yep.
let him be 100%, let him be fully fit, and then bring him back. Because if we rush him in, we've already seen what happened to us last season.
Yeah, with zero fit left backs in a minute, we cannot rush this guy back. And again,
Yeah,
we don't know the status of Terrell Malacia. We've seen him training on his own, but we don't know how long he is away from it. So that could be months. That could be like after Christmas before we see Terrell Malacia. So it's potentially going to be Mazraoui and Dallo for until that point. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm just going to go to the comments before we move on to the score predictions. Jay McGogan, I'd like to say Awate get 45 minutes. It'd be interesting if he got 45 because that's another damning indictment if they took Casemiro off at 45 minutes again. Like, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I don't see it personally. I think he'll get 30, maybe 20, 30 minutes, I think, at the most.
around that 65th minute mark
Yeah.
is usually when Ten Hag makes his subs.
Yeah. Alex, 2 months, he's kicking a ball, not training to be a fighter pilot. Interesting. Lahail Rashid, big up everyone, hit the like button. Absolutely, please do. Jeremy Gogan, I'd go with yours. Sam, we'll get a left back in January, mark my words. I mean, I hope so, because I wanted one in the summer, but if we get one in January, that would be great. Nuno Mendes from PSG should be our number one summer target. I do like him. He's a good player. He's a good player. Alex, I'd like Mazraoui on the left. Dallo is stronger on the right hand side. I think they've put it this way because Mazraoui is better on the right and Dallo is very capable on that left hand side, whereas Mazraoui is less
Yeah.
capable on the left. I get what you're saying, Alex, but I think that's the way Ten Hag has done it. So, but yeah, let's move to the seat back here. Shreyas, all important score predictions. How are we feeling? What are we thinking?
2-1 to United.
The famous scoreline, 2-1.
Yeah, and we win by a penalty.
A penalty. Interesting.
Yeah.
Who's the goal scorers?
I think Bruno's going to go score. I think he's going to score the pen.
Yep.
And oof,
It's hard to see where the
Garnacho.
goals. It's hard to see where the goals come from, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Garnacho. That's it.
I mean, a win's a win. I'll take 3 points at this point.
Yeah.
I don't care where it comes from. I'll take the 3 points. I will go. Oh, I hate this. I will go 1-1. I know it's pessimistic, but in a minute,
It can happen. It can happen.
there's no confidence in me at the minute. There's nothing in there where I've looked and gone, we're going to score goals, and style of play is going to think there's nothing there for me to like grab onto. So
If it is 1-1, I even know how it will happen. First 20 minutes, we are at it.
yeah,
21st
won't
minute, they
score.
score.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they're going to just sit back. We managed to get one in. And it's just the same script all over again.
It'll be the Xerxes type Fulham goal, won't it? It'll be scrappy. He'll go in off a leg, and it'll be something like that. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Let us know in the chat what your score predictions are and all that good stuff. I'll just read a couple of comments, and then we'll get out of here. I genuinely think a deal for Rashford and Mendes could be done in the summer. I mean, swap deals are notoriously hard to do, right? Ridiculously hard to do, but
they won't take Rashford though.
No. Take a look at Mendes, him or Davis from Bayern. I think he's gonna go to Real Madrid, isn't he?
Madrid. Yeah.
He's probably gonna end up there. But you never know. We stole Euro. We stole Euro from Real Madrid, so could be.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. But thank you everybody for tuning in. It's a little short one today, but we wanted to get some content out to give a Southampton preview. Nick will be on Paddock Live later tonight, I think about 10 o'clock, sorry, 10 o'clock on Stretford Paddock. So please do go check him out. Make sure you put in the chat that he came from Real Reds so they know where you've come from. So please do tune into that. There'll be a watch along on Saturday and a post-match review. So please do come and join us for those. Put your notification bells on, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We've got Jay Motti on tomorrow evening. Nice little interview and the usual daytime show. So please do make sure you subscribe and notifications are all stuff on. Like this video and also check out the membership scheme. It's £2-3 a month. We've just put up the After Dark podcast, which is really fun to do, and we talk about everything except football. There's some exclusive content on there, exclusive news stories, and there's a fantasy football as well. If you're already playing it, you can join our league as well. So if you're a member, you can do all that good stuff. And we're also planning a members call-in show. We're setting the tech up for that, and we're working out the logistics of that. So if you do want to be a part of that, please do join the membership. The link is in the description. Follow all the socials: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, all that good stuff. Shreyas, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, and we'll see you all next time. Peace.
Yeah.